On June 13, 2019, the U.S. House of Representatives held its first ever hearing on deepfakes, a form of artificial intelligence-powered video manipulation.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia.
Adam Schiff, 6 months into his chairmanship of the House Intelligence Committee, opened with a stark warning, quote, "Advances in AI machine learning have led to the emergence of advanced digitally doctored types of media, so-called deepfakes, that enable malicious actors to foment chaos, division, or crisis, and they have the capacity to disrupt entire campaigns, including that for the presidency. Rapid progress in artificial intelligence algorithms has made it possible to manipulate media, video, imagery, audio, and text, with incredible, nearly imperceptible results. With sufficient training data, these powerful deepfake-generating algorithms can portray a real person doing something they never did, or saying words they never uttered. These tools are readily available and accessible to both experts and novices alike, meaning that attribution of a deepfake to a specific author, whether a hostile intelligence service or a single internet troll, will be a constant challenge." End quote. After showing a few examples of deepfakes, Schiff continued, "Thinking ahead to 2020 and beyond, one does not need any great imagination to envision even more nightmarish scenarios that would leave the government, the media, and the public struggling to discern what is real and what is fake." To help contextualize this threat that Schiff warns us about, it helps to step back and look at a brief history of manipulation of images and videos in the political context. This famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln from the 1860s was actually discovered in the 1950s to be a forgery. Lincoln's head had been edited onto the body of devoted slavery advocate John C. Calhoun. Apparently Lincoln's stature wasn't heroic enough, people thought. This photograph of Ulysses S. Grant in 1864 was a composite from 1902 of 3 different images. In 2004, while John Kerry was running for president, the New York Times published an article about his anti-war past. It included this photograph of him seated next to Jane Fonda at an anti-war rally. It turns out that photo was fake. It was a composite of 2 separate photos. Although Kerry was at the rally, he wasn't seated next to Jane Fonda as the image suggests. Strangely, when the original photograph surfaced, some people falsely claimed that they were the forgeries and that the Kerry Fonda photo was the real one. Editing videos is much harder than editing photos. That's why we didn't really see deepfake type videos until the past few years. They are fueled by deep learning, a powerful branch of modern artificial intelligence. But a lot of edited videos in the past and the present are what we now call shallow fakes. They just use simple old-fashioned tricks. For instance, one viral video of Nancy Pelosi appeared to show her drunk, but it was just a video slowed down to 75% speed, which makes her speech seem slurred and her motions seem that of an inebriated person.
We want to give this president the opportunity to do something historic for our country. We want to give this president the opportunity to do something historic for our country.
A video of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez seemed to show her quite stumped by basic questions and answering in very embarrassing, revealing ways, but it was just a humorous, sarcastic piece put together with a simple video editing technique where someone spliced together her answers to different questions than the ones shown asked.
Alexandria, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Do you have any experience that qualifies you for this job?
I was growing up during the Clinton era. And then basically when I was in middle school, 9/11 happened.
A strange one was at a Trump press conference, a White House aide reached for the microphone held by Jim Acosta, a CNN reporter. but Acosta aggressively pushed her hand away in a sort of karate chop motion. A clip of this was tweeted by an editor at InfoWars, Alex Jones's conspiracy theory channel. Then the White House press secretary at the time, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, retweeted it as proof that Acosta, quote, put his hands on a young woman just trying to do her job, end quote, and used this video as grounds for temporarily revoking Acosta's White House press pass. But there's since been quite active discussion about whether that video was edited. Some people believe at the moment of contact where he pushed her arm away, the video was sped up to make it seem like his arm moved faster and more violently than it actually did. The easiest way, however, to create disinformation from photos and videos is simply to write misleading captions. As an example, here's a photograph of the violence unleashed by a caravan of immigrants heading to the US in 2018. Except it was actually a photograph of violence by a student protest in Mexico in 2012. So where did deepfakes come from? In September 2017, a user on Reddit with the username deepfakes, combining the phrase deep learning with the word fake, posted a video clip of the actress Gal Gadot, who is recently famous from the summer blockbuster Wonder Woman, onto a pornographic scene. His original post was so popular that he quickly made many others featuring other celebrities. Just a few months later, in December of 2017, in an interview in Vice, he said he's not a professional researcher, he's just a computer programmer with an interest in deep learning. He said he used publicly available algorithms to write his deepfake creating software, and he used Google image search, stock photos, and YouTube videos to provide his computer with the celebrity face data it needed. This term deepfake quickly gained popularity and brought it to mean any form of video editing or synthesizing powered by artificial intelligence, especially deep learning, to make it appear that someone was doing or saying something they did not do or say. That said, when you see a video, even if it's been edited, it's hard to say if artificial intelligence was involved. A 2019 study found that 96% of deepfakes on the internet are pornographic face swaps, much like the original one that the Reddit user introduced. They're mostly female celebrities, and they have amassed over 100 million views. And again, one of the reasons why celebrity images are used so much is not just because users are interested, but also because there's so much available data, there's so many photographs and videos of celebrities. A more recent study, July 2020, found that the number of deepfakes on the internet had been growing exponentially, doubling approximately every 6 months. This study identified 50,000 deepfake videos on the internet. About 90% of these were people in the entertainment industry. Only 4% were in the business world and another 4% in politics. Even though these latter numbers are fairly small, they were increased over the previous year, and it's expected they're going to continue to increase. The natural question is, if artificial intelligence is used to create deepfakes, can't it be used to detect them as well? The answer is yes and no. There is a lot of research happening here and a lot of progress, but it's sort of an arms race. As the detecting technology improves, so do the techniques for avoiding detection. For instance, there's work right now to detect heartbeats in videos and find anomalies in the rhythms produced by deepfakes. But if this works, it's only a matter of time before people modify the deepfake creating algorithms to produce realistic heartbeats. Another main approach for dealing with deepfakes is systems for authentication. One of these is to embed some kind of hidden watermark in the file of a video that would be disrupted during a deepfake editing process. Another is to store a copy of every photo or movie that one wishes to authenticate in a database somewhere, so that if the authenticity is later called into question, people can simply compare the potentially edited video or photo with the original in the database. But these systems only work if you plan ahead of time. For instance, insurance companies use this to authenticate photos of damage by floods and other insurance claims. But once a video or a photograph is spreading around on the internet on social media, there's not really much we can do. Adam Schiff warned us about the potential use of deepfakes in politics. So let's look at how deepfakes have been used in politics already. The first instance is believed to be in February 2020. A political candidate in India had an impersonator record the audio for a 44-second ad speech in English and in a particular Hindi dialect. Then a lip-syncing form of deepfake transformed the video of him speaking Hindi into these other two languages that he didn't actually speak.
Greetings to all. Friends, I'm here just to ask about the work accounted for.
आप सभी को, क्योंकि अभी-अभी नागरिकता संशोधन बिल राज्यसभा से भी पास हो गया.
The head of media and IT for the campaign said, quote, "Deepfake technology has helped us scale campaign efforts like never before. These videos let us convincingly approach the target audience even if the candidate didn't speak the language of the voter." End quote. This is an interesting use of the technology because it's not overtly deceptive, but it is still using a fake video that wasn't directly labeled as such. Another instance of deepfakes in politics happened in India 2 years earlier. It didn't directly involve an election, but it still had a political aspect to it. A 36-year-old woman, Rana Ayub, is an investigative journalist and a practicing Muslim, often seen as anti-establishment. She said anything she posted on Twitter would result in thousands of replies, much of it hateful and threatening, but she tried to ignore the trolls and continue going about her job, telling herself that the online hate and threats would never translate into offline abuse. But in April 2018, that changed. She had criticized the actions of the ruling party and government, which coincidentally is the same party that we just heard this story about the candidate recording the multiple language videos in. A source in the party sent her a message, quote, "Something is circulating around WhatsApp. I'm going to send it to you, but promise me you won't feel upset," end quote. What he sent her was a pornographic clip that appeared to feature her. It was a face swap deepfake. In her own words, quote, "When I first opened it, I was shocked to see my face, but I could tell it wasn't actually me. For one, I have curly hair and the woman had straight hair. She also looked really young, not more than 17 or 18. I started throwing up. I just didn't know what to do. In a country like India, I knew this was a big deal. I didn't know how to react. I just started crying. I asked him why it was circulating within political circles, and he told me people within the party had been passing it on. Before I could even gather myself, my phone started beeping, and I saw I had more than 100 Twitter notifications, all sharing the video. I deleted my Facebook, I just couldn't take it. On Instagram, under every single one of my posts, the comments were filling with screenshots of the video. Then the fan page of BJP's leader shared the video, and the whole thing snowballed. The video was shared 40,000 more times. It ended up on almost every phone in India. It was devastating. It exposed me to a lynch mob in India. People were thinking they could now do whatever they wanted to me. Another tweet was circulated on social media with a screenshot of the video and my number alongside saying, "Hi, this is my number and I'm available here." People started sending me WhatsApp messages asking me for my rates for sex. I was sent to the hospital with heart palpitations and anxiety. The doctor gave me medication. But I was vomiting, my blood pressure shot up, my body had reacted so violently to the stress. The entire country was watching a porn video that claimed to be me. When we went to the station, the police wouldn't file a report. The people who were sharing this video were political, and the officers weren't prepared to take on the powerful. There were about 6 men in the police station. They started watching the video in front of me. You could see the smirks on their faces. The irony is, about a week before the video was released, I heard an editor talking about the dangers of deepfake in India. I didn't even know what it was, so I Googled it. Then 1 week later, it happened to me. I didn't speak about it for a long time because I worried the larger audience would not empathize or sympathize with me, but they would want to explore it more. I didn't want deepfake to get that kind of popularity. But unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, this is to say 6 months after the original incident, I've seen numerous deepfake videos of very high-profile female film stars, so it feels like it's too late to prevent it. It's a very, very dangerous tool, and I don't know where we're headed with it." End quote. Another political example, quite a strange one, happened in October 2018. Ali Bongo, the president of the African nation of Gabon, was hospitalized in Saudi Arabia for an undisclosed illness. In December, the vice president announced that Bongo had suffered a stroke earlier in the fall, but he was doing well and recovering. Despite this reassurance, there were almost no signs of Bongo, just a few pictures and a silent video released by the government. Speculation began to run rampant that the government was lying and Bongo was either dead or incapacitated. Finally, the government said he would deliver the customary New Year's address, and on January 1st, 2019, it posted to social media a video of Bongo giving his speech. But something didn't seem right about it.
Mes chers compatriotes, Gabonaises, Gabonais, avant toute chose, permettez-moi de vous adresser à toutes et à tous, pour cette année nouvelle, mes meilleurs vœux de santé, de bonheur, de prospérité. Puissions-nous vivre en paix et dans la concorde comme nous l'avons toujours fait.
Some people thought the video was fine and showed him in good health. Others thought it was a body double. And many others felt the video was strange but couldn't explain or understand why. Then Bruno Ben Mubamba, who ran against Bongo in the last 2 elections, claimed the video as a deepfake, and this theory rapidly spread in popularity. Mubamba said Bongo's face and eyes just seem, quote, almost suspended above his jaw, end quote, and that his eyes move, quote, completely out of sync with the movements of his jaw, end quote. He explained, the composition of several elements of different faces fused into one are the very specific elements that constitute a deepfake. Other critics pointed out on Twitter more details that suggested deepfake, such as how Bongo only blinked 13 times during this 2-minute video, which is less than half the usual amount, and his speech patterns seemed different than his normal ones. There was a very specific reason why the government might go to such great lengths to hide Bongo's condition, or possible death. The Constitution states that if Gabon's president is unfit to lead, then the Senate president becomes the interim president. A special election is to be held within 60 days. Bongo had been president for 10 years, and before that his father was president for 42 years. The critics believed that Bongo's party was hiding his illness or possible death to avoid this special election, so they could have more time to groom a successor. This successor would, after all, be the first president not named Bongo in more than half a century. 1 week after the much-debated New Year's video, the military attempted a coup and cited the oddness of the video as evidence that the president was absent and the government was lying about it. The coup ultimately failed, the government retained power, and in August, several months later, Bongo made his first public appearance since his disappearance almost a year earlier. To this day, we do not know whether the video was a deepfake, whether the oddness was just the result of his stroke. Strikingly, though, the mere possibility of it being a deepfake almost led to a military overthrow of the government. In fact, one of the biggest threats of deepfakes isn't just that we'll see fake videos that we think are real, it's that politicians and business leaders and others will be able to disavow real videos simply by claiming they are fake. 1 month before the 2016 US presidential election, the infamous Access Hollywood tape of Trump was released. Trump responded immediately by admitting he made the remarks caught on tape and apologized for them, but also attempted to minimize their significance as locker room banter, as we remember. But just a couple months later, Trump started claiming the audio on the tape is fake and that he never said the words we all heard, and he told a senator he is, quote, looking into hiring people to ascertain whether or not it was his voice. Deepfake technology has left us in this world where it is increasingly difficult to trust what we see, to know what is true and what is fake, and where videographic evidence has lost the stability and trust that it once had.